Good evening, everyone. I am Erica Ann Parks, the founder and CEO of Camouflage Me Not. Welcome to the power of stepping into fear. The power of stepping into fear. Sounds really juicy, right? Very like we want. So we want to welcome you to Camouflage Me Not's Facebook page and give you a little brief background of why we're here tonight. September is National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. And every year, Camouflage Me Not hosts an annual cocktail and conversation event on the fourth Monday in September in the evening. So this year, like any other year, we are doing the same thing, but in a different place and a whole lot of extra stuff for you. If you are watching us right now through Facebook, because we're live via Zoom through Facebook, we ask that you grab your favorite beverage, share this with a friend on your page, share on your page, tag a friend, and we're going to talk about stepping into fear. Our mission is to create social awareness to enhance the transition process for women and minority veterans holistically. We are the gladiators for veterans. I am a woman gladiator for veterans. And so Tiffany is here with us tonight because we have 3 areas of focus. So I told you about why we're doing this, but it ties into our mission and our areas of focus, which is why we exist. We believe in providing advocacy. So advocacy for the veteran family, not just the veteran, to make sure that those policies and programs that need to be in place are put in place to help them transition successfully. So let me tell you a little bit about Tiffany. This is not Tiffany's first time with us. So we're happy to have her back a second time. Tiffany was with us at our first annual Cocktails and Conversation event, and we're so happy to have her back. And so she is the perfect fit for this talk we're going to have tonight. Tiffany and I met through one of my battle buddies. She was a referral when we first started the Cocktails and Conversations United. So we're super excited to have Tiffany and to hear what she has to say. So with no further ado, I'm going to have Miss Tiffany to tell us a little bit about her professional background.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for having me again, Erica. I'm always excited to be working with you for this event for such a good cause. I absolutely believe in suicide prevention, suicide awareness. Just to give your audience a little bit about me, I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan, the youngest of 4. Have traveled and lived in different states. I have my bachelor's degree in psychology, my master's degree in public health, which you and I connect on a lot. Worked for different consulting firms over the years, and decided that I wanted to kind of get more into fitness. I actually became a bodybuilding figure competitor while I was working full-time for my consulting jobs. And that was just something that I loved. I wanted to get healthy physically, mentally, spiritually, and fitness was the beginning of my journey. And it took me kind of along this road from fitness to transitioning to becoming a women's empowerment coach, which I absolutely love, because I was able to not only empower women physically through health and wellness, but then start to empower them internally through their minds, through their emotions, through their bodies, through their spirits. So that's kind of where I am.
Wow. So yes, remember I told you when I met her 2 years ago, whole nother business. Now doing something different. And so I know you're probably saying, well, what does this have to do with suicide prevention? A lot. And so as we continue to talk, you're going to understand, why there's some things that you go through, and in going through those things, you may be a little indecisive in knowing when you need to jump and move, be led by your spirit, so that you can have a more fulfilling life. I know that just resonated with someone. Someone is going through something or thinking about jumping, and they're on the edge. As long as you stay on the edge, you'll have that discomfort. So that's all I'm going to say about that for right now. So Tiffany, moving from build body wealth to clarity, confidence, courage, women's empowerment. I have to make sure I say that right. Clarity, confidence, courage, women's empowerment.
Yes.
So you went from a physical, and I say physical, you all, a physical business where she was in person with clients to online with clients. How do you know it's time to make that move?
Well, honestly, I was transitioning. I had gotten laid off my full-time corporate career. So I went full-time into my fitness business, which the company was Build Body Wealth. I was doing in-person training, group training, online health coaching. So it was like the whole gamut. And after a while, Erica, I started to meet so many women who were telling me, who I was training, they were just telling me their stories. And if any trainer knows that when you're working, whether it's group or one-on-one, when you're working with clients, it's kind of like going to the hairdresser. They talk and they talk about their lives. They talk about their personal stories and they tell you what they're going through. And I heard so many women who were going through the same thing that I was going through. I went through a divorce and got laid off my full-time career and just the challenges of life. And I realized like there's so much here that I could go deeper on, especially given my background and the work that I had done outreach with the community in health and wellness. I was like, I think it's time for me to step into that calling, and I think in life, you transition, you grow, you may start off with one thing and you kind of get into it and something sparks inside of that career or that life path that sets you on another path to your next level. And that's really what happened to me. I was hearing women's story, I was connecting with them emotionally and realized that I no longer wanted to just empower women physically, I wanted to empower them mentally and emotionally.
Wow. Awesome. And it's funny because as I think of that, entrepreneurs, if there are any entrepreneurs out there, whether you're in Zoom or Facebook, we hear this thing about succession plans, right? All of us know about business plans. Not all of us have them, but I would like to say, Tiffany, what do you think? People have more business plans than they have succession plans.
Yes.
But we must understand that they're both important. And the reason why they're both important, because one is bringing you into the company and one is exiting you from the company.
Yes.
You don't have to stay at your business until you die.
Absolutely.
You don't have to stay at your business until you die.
Yes.
Just like you don't have to stay at your job until you die. You have a choice. And so you have to know when to go. So Tiffany just told you how she knew it was time to go. She saw a greater need that she could fulfill, a niche, an experience, and she fulfilled that. Her spirit, her soul led her to making that jump, as I always tell people.
Yes.
And you have to know when to jump because the window of opportunity don't always last forever. It's very slim. You got to go through it. So Tiffany, how did you make the transition? You talked to us how you made the move, but you talked to us about how you knew it was time to make the move, but how did you make the transition?
So it was a little bit easier for me, I will say, because I owned my own business already. I kind of understood the concept of creating a business in person as well as online. I had gotten a business coach for my first company. So I had already kind of went through a lot of training when it came to social media, setting up your website, getting your license, with the state registration, taxes, that type of thing. So the actual business part was not new to me. It was just about transitioning my messaging. So I really had to get very clear on what it was I wanted to, give to the world, what it was that I was trying to do, what my mission statement was, who my audience was going to be, and then get very, very organized. So I had a business coach for my new business. I got another business coach to kind of help me transition. I got a new website. I got a new brand. I got social media design. I started a whole new, pages when it came to all my social media. And then what I did, I started to just market and take the audience that I already had in my physical business, my fitness business, and slowly transition them to this new venture. And eventually I kind of phased out my other business and just went straight into women's empowerment. So, when you are first starting out as an entrepreneur, the one thing I would tell anybody is 9 times out of 10, you're going to need a mentor, either a mentor or a coach. If you've never done it before, because you're going to need help understanding the actual tangible ways to legally set up a business, but then to physically set up a business. Again, and that depends on whether you want brick and mortar or whether you want to be online. But either way, you're going to have to understand operations, team, marketing, fulfillment, sales. You have to understand how a business runs from beginning to end. So I kind of had that experience, and I just kind of redid it over again in this new business.
So what I just heard Tiffany say is because she jumped initially and had a the next jump was a little easier.
Yes.
And that's so big. I want you all to catch that and hear that clearly. When you jump and step into fear, it helps you by giving you the confidence to jump again and step into that next phase of fear, because it doesn't stop. You got to do it. And so the knowledge and expertise that she has, she was able to do that and to pivot. But the other thing I heard her say, and that a lot of times we don't get, is that she invests in herself. She invests in herself. And so she just told you how she invests in her brand. She is her brand. She's an online coach. Had she not done these things to invest in making sure the best Tiffany is presented, she wouldn't have clientele coming in like she never switched businesses. And so that's huge. Being self-fulfilled and not feeling empty or going into depression because you hate your career or you hate your job, your profession, whichever name I just said applies to you. You have to learn to invest in you so that you don't go through that. Well, I would say so you don't stay there, because we're all human. We have these emotions and these feelings. But you got to know when it's time to jump, and you got to make the investment that will help you land in that jump. Yes. There are going to be some bumps along the way, but there's some bumps that you can avoid by investing in yourself. So you've told us, how you knew it was time to do it, how you made the move, but you had a huge customer profile. I guess I'm saying that right. You had a large customer profile, going from Build Body Wealth, that's everybody, fitness, wellness, moving to women. So you went from broad to narrowing your perspective. What led you to just go only to women? Because you gave up a lot.
Yeah. When we talk about the calling, this feeling from your spirit, from your soul, whatever anybody wants to call it, but I just got this feeling inside of me that women needed me. I had a mission. And not saying that, there aren't some great male coaches that men need to have, but for me in particular, I felt my personal mission on earth was to help women. And my belief is that when you can change a woman's life, you can change the lives of everyone around her, her children, her spouse, her community. So to me, the woman is the cornerstone of our society. And if we don't invest in our women, in the female population, not just from a standpoint of education wise, but helping them to invest in their own belief in themselves, their confidence, their self-esteem. If we don't do that, they will never reach their full potential, and our world will never reach its full potential, because I truly believe that women are the fabric of our entire earth, our entire planet. So for me, it was so deep. And I just, like I said, something came over me talking to my clients, going through my own experiences with my own divorce and, things that happened in my personal life. And I felt that what most people call that tugging on my soul, on my spirit, to speak just to women and really deliver this message in a way that I felt like they could only understand.
Awesome. I don't think I told you all in the beginning, you will have a chance to ask questions. So as we're talking, if you have questions that pop up, please put them in the Zoom chat. If you're on Facebook, please put them in the Facebook thread. We are going to come to those. You do have a chance to ask questions. All right. So Tiffany, You relocated. This is big. I want y'all to understand how big this is. You're talking about jumping. Tiffany left Georgia. So not only did she start a new business, narrowed her focus on her clientele, she left Georgia. I know you're probably saying, what's so big about that? A lot. A lot, because I've done that same thing before, left Georgia and going to another state where I knew no one. That means you have to build all over again. And that right there makes some people nervous, as you know what. Building all over again, redeveloping relationships. Well, no, not redeveloping relationships because you don't know anybody. And so you got to get people to buy into your ideas. You got to get people to trust you. Yes. That's huge. And in doing that, Tiffany left some serious clients. I know for a fact she had T-Mobile, Marta, high-end private clients. So not just, I don't want you to think, Tiffany was some fitness trainer. No. Tiffany taught wellness, a lifestyle. When your company bring in speakers to help them in an area that they don't have the expertise in, that was Tiffany. Going into Marta, going into T-Mobile. So tell us about that, Tiffany. That's another part of the jump.
Well, I think that when you literally, I had gotten to a space where I felt like I was working. And I think when I started my business to impact the world and to have freedom. And so when I was in my fitness business, it became like a full-on machine. And it was just constant work. And as people would call it, the grind. But it was morning to night, the grind. And it was like that constant working and networking and speaking and training. And I finally kind of got to a place where I was like asking myself the question, is this what I still want? Is this, and anybody who has ever lived in Atlanta, Georgia, the traffic, but honestly, I got to that point. I was starting to feel drained. I was starting to feel tired with just that lifestyle, that constantly going. And so I got to that space where I was asking myself, is this what I want? What do I want the next 5 years to be? And how do I want to engage women? And how do I want my lifestyle to be while I'm engaging women in my new company? So I had a lot of questions I had to ask myself. And I believe that when you ask the right questions, spirit, universe, whatever you want to call it, will give you the right answers. And so for me, what came into my heart, into my soul, was that, Tiffany, you need a break. You need to go somewhere else, sit down, and give it your all. Give this new company a fresh breath. But it had to come from a space of rest, meditation, relaxation, and just me coming to a place of comfort. And so I had to physically get out of Atlanta, find my comfort zone, and then get back into the zone in a different state of mind. And that really is what happened. I just knew it was time to leave. And I love Atlanta. It's an amazing city. I still have contacts there. I still keep in touch with people. But physically, I knew it was time to leave. And ironically, after I packed up all my stuff and left, which has been a year now, COVID hit. So I was like, oh, maybe that was a sign. Because for me, where I live now, nothing has really changed. Like as far as going out, and it's a much smaller area, definitely not a large city. And I'm appreciative of that.
So you see me writing because you said a whole lot. And I want to the first thing I heard was revisiting your goals.
Yes.
It's been a few years. I know for sure nobody goals stay the same. Life happens. Life happens. It makes you change your goals or rethink your goals. Or you decide, like Tiffany said, it's finished. It's time for something else. The next thing I heard you say was self-care, checking in. How am I feeling about where I am? I have this system going. Kudos to you. You know how many small business owners and it don't have a system? So they're tired for a different reason. You got to have a system because the company that you work at as an employee, they have a system. That's why it works, whether you want to agree or not. It works. So in business, if you're a business owner, you got to have a system. If you don't have a system, you will feel the rut of the grind. That's not the grind Tiffany is talking about. She had a system. She's talking about, okay, she's one of those people that likes, I can relate, the excitement of a challenge.
Yeah.
Been there and done it. Okay, I can do this with my eyes closed. Next. Like, what's next? The next thing I heard her say was, my why. I started Build Body Wealth because I want to make an impact in the world. Right? So some goals don't change because that's audacious vision. That's huge. That's something that you're constantly moving to. It's not narrow. I want to Build Body Wealth. I want to make an impact in the world. So many ways you can do that. And so she's done it with Build Body Wealth. And now she's doing it with her women online coaching company. The other thing I heard you talk about was the fresh breath. So when you said that, starting over, and you mentioned COVID, remember I talked about the window of opportunity as Tiffany and I have been talking? What if she would have missed that window of opportunity? Her spirit, her soul is leading her to close Build Body Wealth, to open this online coaching company. What if she didn't do it? COVID happens. Do you know what happened to Build Body Wealth? She don't have time to be waiting on the government to decide they want to give her money for her business. And I'm not saying that as a put down to anybody at all. I'm just sharing it to say, this is why you have to follow your spirit, because you don't know what the next opportunity is. And had she not, she would be kicking herself right now for not moving on that. And I know you're probably saying, well, she's talking about moving and starting all over again. That's grinding. It is, but it's a different grind. And when you're one that understands your why, you don't see it as a rut. You're fulfilling purpose, which is so much different than clocking in or doing something because you feel like you are indebted to it. You're not indebted to anything. You have the right at any moment to change your mind and to move out on whatever that decision is. So Tiffany, I want to make sure they got those nuggets. So my next question to you is, you've talked about these changes, but go deeper with us. There are some physiological changes that you go through when you're at this point of a career change. And I want you to explain this from an employee side and a business owner.
Sure. Well, when you're an employee and you are ready to make a move, you don't even if you're not quite sure what it is, but I think we all can relate where we've been at careers or jobs where we're like, this, I can't do this anymore. This is not for me. I think in the beginning, some people can quickly realize like, okay, I need to do something different. This isn't for me. And they take action. But then you have some people that realize that they want to do something different, but they're afraid. And that's this whole concept of stepping into fear. And a lot of times, even if they don't quite know exactly what they're going to do, their body will literally tell them physiologically that something is amiss. Sleepless nights, nervousness, anxiety, depression, you can't get out of bed, you're complaining all the time, just that negative attitude. You have this belief that there's nothing else out there or that you can't make it. So all these limiting beliefs that you have in your mind. And so your body will literally start to tell you, because you'll start to physically feel bad and mentally feel bad, that you don't want to be here. So it's almost like some people that say, I'm starting to feel sick all the time because of my job. But then you have some people who they know they're not happy. They're having those symptoms I just talked about, the anxiety, the depression, the sleepless nights, the nervousness, the anxiety, but they still go in every day and they tell themselves it'll get better. things will change. I just have to have a more positive attitude. I just have to work harder. I'll feel differently. This is what my parents always wanted me to do. I'm a doctor or I'm a lawyer, so this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But on the inside, they feel crummy, they feel horrible, and they're trying to convince themselves that this is where they belong. So there's a lot of different ways that a person's physical body can start manifesting symptoms of, just being miserable, anxiety and depression. And that's partially the reason you see so many people when they start to, and this is research, when they start to get ready to quit a job or they're about to get fired from a job, you'll see them taking a lot more absent days, or there are a lot of more sick days. All of a sudden they're working from home more,
Yes.
but their body is starting to slowly tell them, like, you do not want to be here. These are the signs. And then I also believe, from a spiritual place, mentally and spiritually, your mind will literally start to tell you it is time. Things will start to occur in your life that are unusual, accidents, or, something happens to your family and you can't make it in. Or, it's all types of weird stuff. In my case, I knew the year that I got laid off, that year before we had any layoffs, the beginning of that year, I was like, this is my last year working here. I don't know how it's going to happen. I just know I don't want to be here anymore. And literally 6 months later, they were like, we're laying you off. And it was like the greatest feeling I ever had in my life. I was so happy.
It's funny that you say that. I'm laughing because I know people that have a similar story before they left their job. And everything starts in your mind. So notice how she constantly talked about it was already in your mind, already in your spirit, and things start lining up. The opportunities that started presenting themselves to get out, to jump. And it's true, I can relate, not feeling motivated. You wake up way before time. You just can't seem to put your clothes on, get in the car, that job. Are you doing this? Y'all know this? Or better yet, you hold your nose and I'm not feeling good. Nothing's wrong with you. You know you've done that. I know I've done it. As soon as you hang up from that fake call out, it's like the sky open up for you. You feel awesome until that night when you got to go in there. You can't. That doctor excuse it is like that feeling she's talking about. Those things happen all over again.
Gosh,
so, Tiffany,
yes.
tell the audience a little bit more about why would they experience these changes? Because I don't think some of them really connect with, this is serious. I got to do something.
Well, a lot of people, change like that occurs when your body starts, it's stress. When your body starts to show stress, it's because you're putting yourself in a stressful situation. Now, stress, of course, we're always under stress. Just being under this light is stressful, right, to your eyes. But there's the positive stress that wakes you up in the morning and gets you going. And then there's the negative stress. And that's that stress that most people call the fight or flight mode. And it comes from a different part of our nervous system. But the whole concept of fight or flight is that adrenaline rush to literally either fight it out or run for your life. Right. The issue is that so many people on a daily basis are feeling that when they just think about going to work, because they're so stressed out. Their bodies are literally going into fight or flight mode, and it's causing other issues like heart disease and high blood pressure, overeating, which leads to obesity. So, these are actual sicknesses that people can experience when they're going through stressful situations when it comes to their jobs. And we talk about suicide prevention. There have been people that have taken their own lives at work or because of work. So, you don't want to put yourself in a situation where things get so bad that you are literally thinking of taking your life, or you start to show signs of suicidal ideation. Mm-hmm. So I tell people, one thing I tell my coaching clients when we talk about their career, when we talk about, what is actually happening, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go? What is your out? Because if you can see it in your mind, you can at least get an idea of what your next steps may be to move forward. And
Right.
so, I tell so many people, be honest with yourself. How do you really feel? Don't hide it. Don't mask it. Don't, try to tell yourself it's going to get better when you clearly know this is not where you want to be in 5 years.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Which leads me into my last question for Tiffany, and then we're going to open it up to you all. What happens when someone is drowning? And I'm using these words intentionally. They're drowning in a zombie state. We all know what drowning means, man. It's over your head. A zombie, they're just going through the motion. There's no, they have no thought or feeling about what's happening. They're just waking up, just doing a routine.
Yeah. A lot of times what you just described is called apathy. And it's this like emotionlessness, right? It's this point where you've gotten past anxiety, you're past depression, you are literally existing. And I think a lot of people, you have some people that are very expressive when they're feeling negative emotion. The people that complain and I hate this place and I'm ready to quit. And, they're very, very expressive about how they feel. But then you have people that they internalize a lot of those emotions. They are not expressive. They keep it in and they put on this mask. They put on this face that everything is okay. And a lot of times, ironically, those are the people that people think are the strong people, right? They're the people that you actually go to talk it out or, to lean on when you're going through a troubled time. But what you don't realize is those people are also feeling emotions. They're just not expressing them. So a lot of times they'll do what I call masking. They'll put on the face like everything is okay, everything is fine, when underneath the surface, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of tension, and there's just this feeling of almost apathy, like there's hopelessness. And that's the worst place to be in. As you know, Erica, when you get to a point of hopelessness, that is the beginning for a lot of people of suicidal ideology, suicide, thinking about suicide. So you definitely, there's so many levels to emotions. They call it the emotional scale. You definitely don't want to be in apathy. If anything, you want to at least be expressive. So if you hate your job, you want to be in a place where you're at least expressing anger or frustration. But when you get to that place where you're so void and you're so empty, where you just say, well, why complain? Because nothing is ever going to get better. That's apathy. And that's like the bottom of the barrel. So you want to at least be expressive of your emotions. You want to talk to someone, get support, whether it's, someone at your job, employee assistant, a mentor, a therapist, a coach, and you want to start making a move. But really, when it comes to stepping into your fear, to coming out of that zombie state, to coming out of that feeling of drowning, you have to acknowledge. That is the first thing. You have to acknowledge something is not right. I know I'm not quite happy. I don't know what it is, but I know I want things to get better. And when you start on that path slowly and allowing yourself to let the emotions come out and be very, very real and authentic with yourself, that is the beginning of change. And that is the beginning of you hopefully starting to take action on where you want to go.
Come back to Tiffany and I. And Tiffany, while I'm looking to check the thread, give us your final words.
I would just say, for those of you who are ready to truly step into your fear, it really takes you getting very real with yourself. You cannot control the outside world, which I think all of us have learned that through this COVID experience, but you can control your inside world, your internal world. And that takes creating a life that truly helps you get closer and closer to figuring out what it is you truly desire, where your happiness lies, where your joy lies, where your peace lies, and understanding how to get there. Because at the end, jobs will come and go, relationships will come and go, careers will come and go, but your satisfaction with yourself, that is the ultimate, ultimate, ultimate goal in life.
Yes. Beautifully stated. I have nothing to add to that. Thank you all so much for joining us for our first facilitators interview.